AWS may still be the top dog in the cloud market, but Azure isn't far behind and it's catching up fast. Meanwhile, Google Cloud is slowly making strides, but AWS and Azure are still the clear frontrunners. In this video, I'm here to help you decide which of these two powerhouses, AWS or Azure, is the best choice for you. Both have dedicated fan bases and plenty of strengths and weaknesses. And based on my 8 years of working with both AWS and Azure, I'll give you a straightforward 3-step comparison to make your decision easier. Let's break down a few key points and figure out which cloud is right for you. Let's dive right in. All right, first up, ease of use. If you're just starting out, AWS can feel like stepping into a giant hardware store with way too many options. You've got 200 plus services, and even as an experienced user, you might find yourself thinking, wait, what does that service do? But don't worry, AWS has a huge library of documentation, tons of tutorials, and plenty of resources. Azure, on the other hand, has that classic Microsoft polish when it comes to user experience. If you've used Microsoft products like Office, Visual Studio, or even just Windows, you're going to feel right at home. The layout, the menus, it's all a bit more, let's say, familiar for beginners. It's not as overwhelming as AWS can be, so if you're after a more approachable start, Azure could be the way to go. Let's talk about prior experience. If you're coming from a software development background, especially if you worked with .NET, C#, or anything Microsoft related, Azure will feel like an extension of your current toolkit. It has great integration with Visual Studio, GitHub, and a seamless experience if you're deploying apps written in .NET. But if you're more into JavaScript, Python, or Node.js, AWS might be a better fit. AWS offers a lot of flexibility, especially if you're comfortable coding and enjoying experimenting with different programming languages. Here's a simple comparison. Azure is like your favorite familiar coffee shop, while AWS is like a huge marketplace with endless options. So if you prefer structure and familiar tools and come from a Microsoft background, go with Azure. But if you want more freedom to explore and experiment and lean towards open source tools, AWS could be the one for you. And now, let's talk about the big one, the job market. AWS has a lot of job openings with companies of all sizes looking for AWS experts. But here's the catch. More AWS jobs also mean more competition. Every year, lots of people get their AWS certifications, so while there's plenty of demand, there's also a plenty of competition. That said, the cloud job market is huge for both AWS and Azure, so you really don't have to stress too much about which one is better for jobs. Here's a simple tip. If you've worked with Microsoft products, go with the Azure. If not, go with AWS. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Once you get good at one, adding the other one to your skill set won't be so hard. So just pick one, dive in, get started, and get good at it. Interesting insight from my own research, and I've done plenty of research on this matter. I've noticed that Azure roles often pay slightly more than comparable AWS roles. For example, you can check the salary range for an AWS solutions architect, then do the same for Azure. And you'll often see a difference where Azure has slightly higher pay range. But don't base your choice entirely on salary. Sure, more money is nice, but what really matters is finding the provider that best fits your skills and career goals. Basically, choose the one that makes the most sense for you. So, which one should you choose? If you're new to cloud and want an easier start, or if you already have experience with Microsoft tools, Azure is definitely the way to go. But if you're ready for a wider ecosystem, don't mind a bit more complexity, or aren't tied to Microsoft tools, then AWS might be a better fit. Either way, both AWS and Azure skills are highly valued, so you really can't go wrong. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. Are you Team AWS or Team Azure? Let me know which cloud you're going with. See you in the next video.